didn't know that.
Yes, it
So,
is.
give us some important things to realize. The heart is a very important organ in our body, and we can live with it or not, I guess, if you don't take care of it, right?
Right. And the good news here is that we are largely in control of the health of our hearts. That is, if we, have a healthy heart to begin with, we don't have a congenital issue or anything like that. In fact, there was
Hmm.
a Harvard study recently in the Journal of the College of Cardiology, and it found that women can reduce their risk of heart disease 90% by altering certain lifestyle habits, and men can reduce their risk by 80%. And of course, one of those is diet. And I want to talk about diet because that's one of the key things here. I want to talk about omega 3s. You might have heard of these. These are long chain omega 3s, EPA and DHA. Are, and these may actually reduce the risk for heart disease if you take them. And you can get them in fatty fish. You can get them in sardines. You can get them in mackerel and salmon. But the problem is many Americans do not get enough quantities of those fish to get the omega 3s they need, so they have deficiencies. And that's why I would really, really recommend omega 3s either from a fish oil or a krill oil capsule. Obviously, you can find these in the pharmacy. And if you are in need of help in choosing one, definitely talk with your pharmacist.
Krill oil, I've heard, is maybe a little bit newer name out there. That's also, though, fish based, right?
That's correct. Although your capsules should not taste fishy. So, you take the capsules and you shouldn't even notice anything about a fish taste. And by the way, go to alwaysomega3s.com to find out more about the benefits of omega 3s.
Okay. What else do we have that can be
Okay.
good for the heart?
Well, we've got a beautiful display here of fruits and vegetables. It's a reminder that those who eat a large array of colorful produce, they're able to maintain their weight. They are able to ward off many different diseases, including heart disease, and so including colorful produce. And I've got watermelon here in the front, and this is a really great
Wow.
one. This actually can help to obviously maintain weight. It will also lower blood pressure, lower blood fats, lower blood cholesterol, and it is something that you can enjoy year round. We think of it as a summertime treat, but I coach a soccer team, and we always have this year round at halftime. We have watermelon because, first of all, it hydrates you very well, and it's got all those nutrients in it. And if you go to watermelon.org, you can learn more about the benefits of watermelon.
Jim, this is fantastic. I love watermelon,
Me too.
and I sometimes I never would put heart and health. I'll be honest with you with watermelon. This is great that you're been discussing it because Jim really does his homework, and all these years he only tells us things that are really really wise. So thanks, Jim. That's
Yeah,
great.
sure, no problem. Yeah, I mean, watermelon contains something called lycopene, which is very beneficial for men too. It's thought that it's a phytonutrient, and it's thought that that may help to ward off certain diseases. Tomatoes, similarly, but we use watermelon, like I say, religiously during our soccer season because it's a great, great halftime energy food. And by the way, for those of you who cannot get the recommended 8 servings of fruits a day and vegetables a day, I want to turn your attention to something called Jamba. This is a fruit smoothie. You can buy it in the freezer section of most retailers. You mix it with juice, and the great thing is this contains a full serving of fruit. You got an on-the-go lifestyle, but you want to get your fruit. That's where you want to turn. You want to turn to Jamba.
Okay. What other good suggestions do you have, Jim?
Well, if we're going to talk about heart health, we have got to talk about exercise because that is such a key component. And we've had such a miserable winter here in the East that I know many people have slipped out of their exercise programs because it's difficult and it's dangerous in some cases to go outside, even walking, because of all the ice. As soon as we start getting a thaw, and they promise us next week it's going to start happening, please get out there and please exercise. If you only do 30 minutes of walking a day, you're going to benefit your heart. You're going to lose a little weight. That always helps. And you're just going to get your heart stronger. Remember, the heart is a muscle. The more you exercise your heart, the stronger it's going to get. And if you've got any doubt, by the way, whether you can exercise, definitely talk with your doctor. Get an exam. Make sure your heart is healthy to begin with before embarking on a sudden exercise program.
Jim, did you ever hear about putting your arms above your heart? Like, is that better for your heart? Does that stretch the muscle in your body? Do you think that's a good idea? Did you ever hear anything about something like that?
Well, the only thing I can think with that is that perhaps that encourages the heart to beat stronger because it has to send the blood up. But other than that, I have not heard of that as a way to keep the heart healthy. Good old-fashioned
Okay.
walking will do it. Walking, running, swimming is great exercise too if you've got sore joints.
Uh-huh. Okay. One thing to helps to keep the heart healthy is to live healthy in the mind, because if
Yes.
you have stress on you, is this so? It puts adrenaline from the brain down into your heart, and that's one of the worst ways of not living a good life.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And this is why I said at the beginning that the great news is in all facets, this is the one organ in our body that we have a lot of control over its health. And one of the ways is to reduce stress. Stress causes release of chemicals, which causes the blood vessels to constrict, the blood pressure to go up. And look, if you're healthy and you don't have high blood pressure to begin with, this is not going to hurt you in the short term. But over and over again, stress accumulates, you may start to develop high blood pressure as a result and damage to cardiac tissue. So yes, keeping the stress level down absolutely helps. And you know, the way I feel it the most is when I drive. So what I've been doing is I've just been taking a deep breath and counting down when I'm starting to get aggravated with somebody because you can't do anything about it. It's frustrating. You can't do anything about the person in front of you, so let it go.
So traffic is part of life.
Yeah, it absolutely, unfortunately, it is.
How about screenings? I think an annual screening, you and I have spoken about this over the years, are just screenings overall with regard to your heart condition and taking blood tests during that same time.
Yes, I think especially if you've got a family history, let's say you're over the age of 40 and you've got a family history of hypertension. Hypertension, remember, is the silent killer. It is the disease none of us know we have until perhaps it's too late. So it is a good idea every year to at least get your blood pressure taken to make sure that you're within normal range. And if you're not, usually they'll start you off by saying, lose a little weight, exercise if you're slightly above. Then they may move to medications. But yes, you're absolutely right. The older you get especially, the more you need to pay attention to your heart. As we get older, you can get things like atrial fibrillation. That's very common. It's an irregular heartbeat. So we definitely have to pay attention to it. And I would say yearly is a good idea.
And everybody should know their cholesterol, right? I mean, you should know your numbers.
Definitely. And as a matter of course, by the way, an easy way to remember a good diet is, and we've got an example here, we've got half a plate of vegetables. Half a plate of make sure your plate is half full of vegetables, produce, and the other half can contain, lean meat. Remember, you want to eat lean meat in order to keep your cholesterol level down. So yes, you do want to have your cholesterol levels measured as well.
Uh-huh. Okay. Jim, any other good news that you want to share?
Well, we're talking about stress reduction. The good news is that next Sunday, March 8th, daylight saving time begins. And in just 3 weeks or so, we've got springtime. And that's going to reduce my stress, that's for sure.
It has been cold. It's really something else, right, this year for everybody.
Yeah, oh, it's been brutal. And I'm up in the Boston area, and we have had 100 inches of snow for the whole season,
Oh, wow.
and most of it is still on the ground. So I'm looking forward to warmer temperatures and being able to move around a little bit more.
Uh-huh. Okay. So give me some of those websites again that we should check into.
Sure. So you want to go to alwaysomega3s.com. You can go to watermelon.org and athomesmoothie.com for the Jamba.
Oh, all righty. Beautiful. Okay. Jim, always a pleasure. Let me 2 quick questions. What's good news for you, Jim?
Well, as I said, spring's coming and spring soccer. I coach soccer. Spring soccer's coming, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And then the last question, just because we're so involved with trying to achieve world peace, what's peace for you?
What's peace for me? Peace for me is when I come home at the end of I work for a local station, and when I come home at night and I can relax and be by myself and process the day, sit down with a glass of wine and process the day. I'm at peace.
There you go. Jim, always a pleasure. Big honor always to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye now.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.